everyone, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko with you, joined as always by Tariq Spence. How you doing, man?
Looking great for my New York Knicks this year so far.
Yeah, you're on that early. Unfinished business last week, and now everyone's on the bandwagon.
Deep team, young, energetic, angry coach. That's not the love.
Yeah, except those people are rooting for the Chicago Bulls.
How about the Bulls undefeated? I'm not a Bulls fan. I'm not. But undefeated, and what's better than a white Scottie Pippen jersey?
You're going to take my joy already?
Well,
Come on.
You can have your joy.
All of these Bulls fans are going to be resurrected like demons on Halloween or something, coming out of the wood. But I'm the Bulls fans of the Jordan era.
He's doing you.
Oh, he's doing me, doing him, doing me. I don't know what the heck's going on here. We're in impressionception at this point.
Hey, I know Duffy hates this topic, but it seems to be we're leading off with the AFC, where the Buffalo Bills are a part of, around the Bills, is totally falling apart.
Well, I mean, let's first start with the Kansas City Chiefs, which I'm not sure what to make of them. I don't know if I'm losing faith in them or gaining faith in my New York Giants, who they play this week. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do down the line. And they have the toughest schedule, plus their defense is terrible. They have a terrible offensive line, and they're relying too much on Pat Mahomes, which I'm a little bit concerned with. So I guess with the tough schedule down the line, if they lose their next 3 or 4 games, you might want to start packing it up if you're the Chiefs and going, because that defense is not going to get much better. Meanwhile, the Ravens have the best looking schedule down the line, but we'll wait and see what their consistency is going forward. And then the Browns, no Baker Mayfield, but I don't know. I'm confused about the Browns because they've been waiting so long to get to this point, and they're just not ready.
Those are the teams that everyone said, they're going to be the main challengers to Buffalo in the AFC, and now you're talking about teams like Cincinnati.
Well, so that's what's so great about this, right, is there isn't a dominant team in the AFC, and I get why there's buzz on Cincinnati, and there should be, right? Like, it's another city that's been championship star. If there is one fan base that understands what Cincinnati fans are feeling, it's Bills fans right now. But if you're a Bills fan, I mean, that win against the Ravens was impressive. Does that team scare you? Does Joe Burrow scare you? There is not a single dominant team outside of the Bills possibly in the AFC right now, right? Like, this is absolutely insane. There are 8 teams that could legitimately come out of the AFC right now that are currently playing good football. No, am I wrong?
Doesn't that worry you?
No,
I mean, it seemed like that's the kind of thing like, don't get overconfident type stuff.
If you're asking me as a Bills fan, this is the greatest thing that could have happened to us, right? Because like you said, I was worried about 3 teams in the beginning of the season. Titans, Chiefs, Ravens. All of them are beatable. The Bills lose to the Chiefs, but I don't think you lose that game over again. This is shaping up really, really well.
Plus, I think you take the loss from the Titans a couple of weeks ago, you go with the rest of the season and the schedule that the Bills have over the next 3 or 4 weeks, got you a couple different teams to sort of lock up for wins for the rest of the year. So I'm not quite sure what to make of it. I guess for the Buffalo Bills, I know we'll get to that segment, it's kind of like, don't stub your toe here. Like, go take care of business, don't get hurt, get to the second half, third quarter of the season, and get ready to coast into the playoffs.
Well, I think there's a very simple question, right? Whether you have home field advantage, whatever team we're talking about here in the playoffs. I mean, you two guys, is there a team you're afraid to go into their house and play right now? A single team in the AFC where it is an unwinnable game, because it was in Arrowhead last season. You could make the argument winning a playoff game in Buffalo right now was almost impossible. I mean, Tennessee's a scary place to play, but Buffalo, again, came within 1 point of doing that, and they've lost at home. Is there a team where you can't go into their house and beat them on the road for a playoff victory?
It's not the Chargers.
I don't know.
The Chargers don't even have home fans.
Maybe the Raiders. I'm still trying to get through that whole Gruden thing.
That's another team.
You know what I mean?
The Chargers, the Raiders, the Bengals. It's like the field is expanded, but all the power, except for Buffalo, seems to be on the other side.
I'm going on record now. The Raiders are not for real. The Raiders are successful because the Chiefs are having such a hard time right now. You put the Raiders up against legitimate competition, against a team that's going to scheme against them.
Well, what do you like? What's the one team in that bunch? You said there's 8 of them, so there's 7 others. What's one team in there you think is a challenge?
I want to say the Titans. I think the Ravens are scarier than the Titans just because of the dynamic. I'm sorry I took yours. Lamar Jackson is so dynamic. Like, if he's in there and doing his thing, it's almost impossible to stop.
I will. This will be the one time we both agree. I think the Ravens explosively, offensively, are very dangerous at any given time. I think Kansas City is the same way, but their defense is so bad. Just don't even worry about it. You're going to score against them.
Baltimore, I think, is the scariest team right now.
Yeah, and it changes every week. It's only 7 weeks in. It'll all be different next week. We talk Buffalo Bills next here on the Press Box.
Original Bay Goodman Pizza, located on the corner of North Winton at Browncroft. There are 3 ways to get the original Bay & Goodman delivery. Go to baygoodman.com.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our Buffalo Bills segment is brought to you by Ralph Honda. For 3 generations and now 50 years, the first and the oldest Honda dealer in the Rochester area. Visit Ralph Honda today and find out how we do Honda right and ralphhonda.com. We talk Buffalo Bills. It seems like the challenge over the next 3 weeks is like, how good is this team at not taking other teams for granted?
Well, that's just it, right? Like, look, luckily with Sean McDermott the last couple of years, they've been really, really good at that. They're prepared. They're good at studying the other side. Yeah, I mean, you got Miami coming to town. They've lost 6 straight games. They weren't any kind of challenge the first time you played them. I'm not worried as a Bills fan.
Line opened at 11.5, went to 13.5.
So, yeah, how insane is that? It went the other way, and while the Bills were on the bye, and they were healthy minus Dawson Knox going into that bye, there's no reason it should have moved other than people have that little faith in Miami to cover 11 points.
The only difference, though, is Tua might be playing more this game than he did the first time. You know, the first time of which he kind of got knocked out of the game, and then you get in Brissett, and then that was a debacle defense shutout. This time around, it'll be interesting to see if he can actually do anything in Buffalo, fresh off of a game in which the Bills had 2 weeks to think about that Tennessee loss, and a defense that's probably foaming at the mouth to get back out and set things right again. That was the first defensive lapse the Bills had 2 weeks ago against Tennessee. I'd like to see them come out on fire. And Tua, I would hate to be him this week.
Yeah. Jacoby Brissett's a better quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, you look at what happened with Tua last season at the end of the year in Buffalo, he got destroyed. And he was destroyed in a half by the Bills' backups when the game was already over. I mean, what does he do that is any kind of impressive that made Miami Dolphins fans think after a 10-win season last year that, this is the year they were going to go over the hump? Like, if I was a Dolphins fan talking all the stuff they were before the season started, I would be very embarrassed right now. Pat's just wearing teal outside of the house.
God, he was supposed to be a generational talent. When he burst on the scene in Alabama, it was like, this is going to be the thing. Look, 2 things about the Buffalo Bills. They come off a bye. There's a theory out there, good coaches coach well when they have 2 weeks to prepare. Yeah. But the other thing is that you kind of lose the edge off the Tennessee game where you had a chance to make a point and clean up a few things in a game you lost. So
I don't know. I look at it from a standpoint of if the Buffalo Bills get out early, get out often, which they did the first time, they'll probably do it again. I'm looking at this more of we still got a lot more football to play. I mean, how much of a point difference would you need, Duffy, to pull Josh Allen out of the game, put maybe Trubisky in the game, and play the rest of the way? Because every statistical stat says that the Bills should win, if not by 13, maybe more.
It ain't McDermott's style. It's not his thing. Look, I wish he would. I wish there were points in games, especially the blowouts the last couple of weeks, where he would put Trubisky in there. But, I mean, it's going to be for a drive, maybe a kneel down. I think that he wants to keep his guys sharp. I mean, you saw what happened. Josh Allen hardly played in the preseason, came out, first couple of weeks were a little rough. I think he wants the kid to keep playing.
He's got 10 more games.
I know. Look, I'm with you.
I wouldn't even risk it with the injury status and all the. I mean, look at the way your schedule lines up. The rest of the AFC, we just talked about that. What's the rush here?
I'd be okay with starting Mitch Trubisky at first snap on Sunday against Miami.
That's not taking a team too lightly.
No, yeah.
The thing is, too, with the 17th game, and I always thought that's just a matter of math. There's this much more chance of a key guy getting hurt. And I kept thinking, the teams have to manage their roster differently now in a 17-game season than you do playing the one fewer game.
Yeah, I mean, because look, they want to eventually get to 18, and the talk about that was, well, if you're going to do that, either you're going to have to add an extra bye, or another great idea, which I thought was awesome, was every player can only start 17 games. So you would have to choose a game that would count where your starting quarterback has to take a seat, or your starting running back has to take a seat. I mean, it has a whole bunch of different ideas, but you're right. Like, that's a legitimate thing that has to be thought about as the season wears on, and it could be more of an issue come playoff time, because that's where the miles really start to add up in the actual playoffs than it is in the regular season.
The heads of anybody who plays fantasy football just exploded just now.
I'll agree with
that idea of sit. You mean you have to sit them? Come on, I need to win my fantasy league this week. Oh my goodness, that's a great idea.
13.5 is the line. Who you got?
Oh, first Buffalo, but I'll say by 15 just to scare Duffy.
Okay. Here's your scary stat of the day. The Miami Dolphins, in the history of the franchise, are undefeated 6-0 on Halloween games.
Ooh.
Despite that, the Bills.
You could come up with a stat for everything.
I would love to take that, but it was on Twitter. I saw it. The Bills win, and they do it by 13.5, no question.
I see Miami covering, just for the hell of it. Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Ralph Honda. Like it or not, it's next. Here's the Press Box trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
All of these things show Josh Allen has a strive for greatness inside of him.
Falcon Around with Carl Falk. New episodes every Tuesday on Rock Sports Now.
Here's the Press Box trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not segment brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law Firm. Attorneys with years of experience defending the accused. Don't go unprepared. Contact Ganguly Law today. Like it or not, this year's World Series pairing of the Houston Astros and the Atlanta Braves.
I hate it because I'm a Mets fan. Oh, yeah, I hate it. So, because either way, I have to either look at a team that has been accused of cheating going back, although I would like to see Dusty Baker win a World Series. I would like to see that.
Why is that such a thing? I've heard that 100 times.
It's because everybody likes Dusty. We like his name. We like the guy. We like his name. We do. Dusty Baker's not a bad guy. You kind of root for good guys. But he's a part of the Houston Astros, and of course, people haven't let that go yet. And if it's the Braves, as a Mets fan, you're just sitting there watching the Nationals win a championship. Now the Braves win a championship. It's just one of those things where you're just sitting there. It's just the Mets and the Marlins watching another team. So either way, I like the matchups. It'd be good to see Freddie Freeman win a ring too. I think he's a great guy and a great ambassador for baseball. So either way, but I don't know. I guess I'm rooting for the Astros, but then I'm rooting for cheaters. But if I'm rooting for the Braves, then again, it's another team with a ring in my division. I don't know.
As a guy who's on the receiving end of what the Atlanta Braves did in that division, I mean, don't you have to respect the fact that they didn't throw in the towel?
Yeah.
When they lost Acuna and they lost guys, and they decided that they were buyers instead of sellers at the deadline. And there were five games behind the Mets at the All-Star break.
Yeah, which makes me more upset because of the fact that the Mets were able to screw that all up, and they too had injuries, and yet, like you said, the Braves were able to overcome that. Even the Dodgers were able to overcome some of the losses that they had and made it deep into the playoffs. So I do respect the Braves in the fact that they go out there and they continue to play well. I just don't know where this World Series is going to end. I just want a good series. Give me 6-7 games if you can.
We always talk about unwritten rules in baseball. Like, one of the unwritten rules in baseball is if you are less than 10 games behind the Mets at the All-Star break, you're always a buyer.
Yeah,
you are always a buyer.
Best believe
Only
that.
the Mets.
Yeah, absolutely. Should put that on a banner.
Duffy, like it or not, the haul that this fan got for having Tom Brady's, it was a 600th
touchdown career touchdown. Just if you're not familiar with the story, he throws a 600th career touchdown pass. Mike Evans, wide receiver, throws it into the crowd, not realizing what it is. That ball is estimated to be worth, because it's the only 600th touchdown ball in existence, maybe ever. Of all time.
Yes.
A minimum of $500,000 at auction. A minimum. Now, the guy who has the ball doesn't understand this. The Bucks walk over, trade him another football and a $1,000 gift card to their team store, and he takes it. So, massive hubbub, right? So Brady's now giving him 2 autographed jerseys. Mike Evans is giving him autographed jersey and a cleat, and I think he gave him a Bitcoin. I'm too old to understand what Bitcoin is.
But it's like $60,000.
Wow. All right, so
that's
Bitcoin too?
Yeah, you got Bitcoin. Let's do some math, though. Let's see, Bill. I'm not good at math. 60,000 over here.
But look, this thing was so important, and Mike Evans didn't know it. So he gave Evans as the receiver of the touchdown pass.
Yeah.
Goes and just gives it to someone in the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, this record. This is supposed to be a $500,000 record. He didn't even know it.
Yeah, that is odd, right? But I guess, hey, that says a lot for your team that you're that focused on the game.
I just don't think it was that big a deal.
Oh, it's a big deal. That could be the only 600th touchdown pass in NFL history. I mean, look, you know I love my memorabilia. Something that unique could never happen again. It's the piece of leather that was a part of it. What?
Can I just argue for the guy? If he walks out of that place, say he doesn't give up the football, he knows it's a 600 ball, he holds onto it forever.
Sure.
You know full well Tom Brady would have not negotiated past maybe even around the golf, which was what the guy wanted.
Okay.
he would have played football to throw his 700 touchdown pass just to diminish the cost of the 600.
Well, see, here's the thing.
He'll do it, too.
I'm auctioning off in the offseason, so go ahead and throw your 700. I got my $60 grand, $500,000. You take $500,000. You take $500,000.
Another unwritten rule.
Anyone want to argue? This is an Aquinas education. $500,000 is more than 60,000.
Can I just come from the guy's perspective of how much he drank before the game, then during the game, and not thinking clearly in the moment of the game?
Granted, at that point, he doesn't know what it's worth, so I do feel bad for the guy. Like, could you imagine getting home with, hey, check out my football and gift card? Oh my God, no! Oh God, no!
Like it or not, brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Time for Unfinished Business, brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Better roof, better price, better call Greg the Roofer. Save time and money on your roof, siding, and windows. Call today for a free estimate, and financing is available. That's gregtheroofer.com. Unfinished Business, Pat.
We are lining up for what might be the 9 most crazy months of sports we've ever seen in our lifetime. With the World Series going on right now, 88-win Braves, least amount of wins in the playoffs. They're playing for a World Series. They could win a championship here. We talked earlier about how the AFC, really the NFL, is entirely wide open when it comes to who could win a Super Bowl. Then you look at what's going on in the NBA. For the first time in maybe 15 years, there's more than 4 teams that can win an NBA championship. Heck, you could say there are 10 teams that can legitimately look someone in the face and say, we have a shot at an NBA championship. In the NHL right now, oh my God, it's upside down. Earlier this week, the Buffalo Sabres, who are supposed to be the worst team in the league, beat the defending Stanley Cup champion, Tampa Bay Lightning. And the Sabres demolished a team in Montreal who played in the Stanley Cup Finals last season who can't get anything going. These leagues are upside down. Nobody knows anything. It's going to be a race to the finish for all of them. And I, for one, someone who loves chaos, I'm here to watch all of it.
I hate chaos, but the one thing I can say is I love consistency. Mike Tomlin made a decision to end a rumor before it even started. See, Mike Tomlin, I guess his name was thrown up for the USC job, college football, you know, beautiful, nice, California, great weather, recruiting, all the great stuff. What did he do? He basically shut that all down, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and said, I'm not going anywhere. This is one of the best coaching jobs I've ever had, one of the best coaching jobs there are in professional sports. Why would I leave professional sports to go to college? He shut it down, quit. And that type of consistency is why he is still going to be the head coach for the Steelers. Now, Steelers organization is going to have to do a total revamp. But what he did in that moment, making sure that he is committed to Pittsburgh, I just wish Pittsburgh would be committed to him and understand that it's time for a youth change in Pittsburgh.
So I was in Atlanta last week to visit a friend and watch a little baseball. Phil is a baseball savant and a lifelong Braves fan, and a good bit younger than me. 1999 to him was a long time ago, and that's when the Braves last played in a World Series. Now, Atlanta isn't Boston, Philadelphia, or Western New York for that matter. The energy that we spend rooting for our sports teams is at a much higher level, for many reasons, none of which really matter here. That became clear when we found ourselves out at a local establishment with other like-minded people when Atlanta beat the National League's version of the evil empire, the Los Angeles Dodgers, to return to the World Series for the first time in 22 years. Some background here. Phil grew up a Braves fan and he watched games with his dad. On this night, the younger man wore a shirt with a reproduction of the front page of the Atlanta Constitution depicting the Braves winning a division title in 1991. It was his father's shirt. He'd have liked this, Phil told me. He'd have liked this team. Philip Anthony Tapley Sr. died 4 years ago. The night the Braves won their way back into the World Series would have been his 72nd birthday. After the game, the son's first call from the bar was to his mom. They talked about his dad. Now, there isn't anything particularly unusual about this. It's a heartwarming melodrama that gets played out all the time. But it is another reminder that sports really matters to people on a very real and a very personal basis. And it's one of the major reasons, perhaps the major reason, they continue to endure. Unfinished Business brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Gentlemen, nice job.
Now I got to root for the Braves now. Oh, that was a great way to end the segment. I think he wore that shirt just to, you know what, me off.
Man, you're getting awfully angry. I'm just trying to hang out, have fun, be friends. 4-0, no big deal. I'm not even a fan. I just like watching you squirm.
I know. See, he did it on purpose.
Don't be angry. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week with the Rochester Press Box.
I'm not angry.